It started as a quiet rumor, whispered in fan circles and industry backrooms. But within hours, it exploded into one of the messiest, most talked about showdowns the dancehall world has seen in years. For months, Spice had been teasing her new album, a project she promised would be the most iconic of her career. Fans were already buzzing about the tracklist, collabs, and rumored surprise features. And then came the shocker: Bambi. Once considered a close friend and potential collaborator, had been cut from the album entirely. No warning, no explanation, just erased. The fallout was instant. People were confused, blogs were speculating, and insiders claimed it wasn't about music at all, but something far more personal. But before the dust could even settle, things took a turn that nobody saw coming. In the middle of a heated backstage moment at a private industry event, witnesses say Bambi didn't just confront Spicy, physically jumped on her. Screams, chaos. Security rushing, and what went down in those explosive seconds is already the stuff of legend. Some claim Bambi was pushed to the edge by betrayal. Others say she'd been holding in resentment for months. And the whispers about why Spice really kicked her off that album. Let's just say if even half of them are true, this feud is about to reach nuclear levels. The only question now is what exactly happened between these two women, and how much worse is it about to get? The tension between Bambi and Spice had been simmering for months. But most people thought it was just friendly competition, two strong personalities navigating the same high-pressure industry. On the surface, they smiled for cameras, liked each other's posts, and even hinted at working together. But behind closed doors, cracks had started to form. And the announcement of Spice's new album was the moment those cracks split wide open. Spice had built hype for this project like never before. Every interview, every social media post, she kept promising fans something groundbreaking, something that would shake the dancehall scene to its core. Early leaks about the tracklist had Bambi's name on it, not just for a feature, but as one of the standout collaborations of the entire album. Fans were excited, seeing it as a symbol of unity between two powerhouse women. Then, without warning, the revised tracklist dropped. Bambi's name was gone. Not replaced, just gone. Spice didn't mention her in the press run. She didn't thank her in behind-the-scenes clips. She acted as though the collaboration had never existed. Fans were confused, but what really set off alarms were the whispers from people close to the situation. Whispers that this wasn't a simple creative decision, but a calculated move fueled by something far more personal. Bambi found out the same way everyone else did through the internet. One minute she was tagged in fan posts celebrating her supposed feature. The next, those posts were deleted, replaced with people asking what happened. According to sources, Bambi was blindsided. She hadn't been told the track was cut, let alone given a reason. Calls to Spice went unanswered, texts left unread. It was a silent erasure, and it stung. The industry is small, and news travels fast. Within hours, mutual friends started hitting Bambi up with stories. Some claimed Spice felt Bambi had been using her name to push her own projects. Others said Spice was upset about a private conversation that had been repeated to the wrong people. And then there was the most explosive rumor of all that Bambi had been quietly linked to someone Spice was involved with, or at least someone Spice considered off-limits. No one knew for sure, but the speculation was enough to turn a professional disappointment into a personal grudge. Bambi kept quiet publicly at first, but behind the scenes, she was seething. According to someone in her camp, she felt humiliated not just by being cut from the album, but by the way Spice had handled it. No direct conversation, no explanation, just a public snub. And if there's one thing Bambi's never been known for, it's letting disrespect slide. The breaking point came at a private industry event meant to celebrate the success of several Caribbean artists. It was supposed to be a feel-good night, a rare gathering where rivalries were put aside. Spice was there in full star mode, surrounded by her team and industry heavyweights. Bambi arrived later, dressed to kill, making it clear she wasn't about to hide or play small. Witnesses say the moment they spotted each other, the energy shifted. It wasn't loud at first, but it was 10 icy stares across the room. Whispered exchanges between their entourages. A subtle but undeniable line drawn through the crowd. What happened next escalated in seconds, according to multiple eyewitnesses. Bambi made her way toward Spice, her stride purposeful. People assumed she was going to confront her verbally, maybe demand an explanation. But as soon as she got close enough, words weren't what came out, movement did. One witness described it as a switch flipping. Bambi lunged, grabbing Spice by the arm and shoving her backward. Another said she actually jumped onto her, sending both of them crashing against a nearby table. Glasses shattered, people screamed, and security rushed in from every corner. The scene was chaos. Spice's team tried to pull Bambi off, but she wasn't letting go easily. You know what you did? She was shouting, her voice cutting through the noise. Spice, for her part, wasn't just standing there, she was shoving back. Trying to free herself while yelling something about fake loyalty. The crowd parted, phones whipped out, and within seconds, shaky footage started making its way online. Even in the grainy clips, you could see the raw emotion in both their faces, rage, betrayal, maybe even hurt. Security finally managed to separate them, dragging Bambi toward the exit while Spice's team formed a protective wall around her. Both women were breathing hard, glaring at each other from across the room. No punches had landed, but the damage was done. The whispers turned into shouts, and every gossip page from Kingston to New York had a headline ready before the night was even over. But the real shock came after the video started circulating. That's when people began to notice something odd. In the chaos, a voice could be heard in the background, a man's voice, shouting something that sounded like it's about the track. Some fans took this as confirmation that the fight really was over the album, but others swore the voice said something else entirely. Something about messing with her man. The clip was so distorted that nobody could agree, but that didn't stop the theories from multiplying. By the next morning, both women had gone silent on social media. No statements, no explanations, just radio silence. But their silence only fueled the frenzy. Fans dissected every frame of the leaked videos, every rumor from alleged insiders. Some pointed out that Bambi had been posting cryptic captions about snakes and real friends in the days before the fight. Others noted that Spice had unfollowed Bambi weeks earlier, long before the tracklist change, suggesting the fallout had been brewing for a while. And then came the first real leak. A blog known for breaking industry tea claimed to have obtained screenshots of a text conversation between Bambi and an unnamed friend. In the messages, Bambi allegedly wrote, "She thinks she can cut me out like I'm nothing. I built that verse for her, and I know things she doesn't want out." Whether the texts were real or fabricated, they spread like wildfire. Overnight, the narrative shifted from Bambi was blindsided to Bambi might have been holding something over Spice. Whatever the truth was, one thing was certain: this feud wasn't going to fade quietly. Both women had too much pride, too much history, and now too much public attention for either to back down. And as the industry picked sides, whispers of a much deeper betrayal began to surface, one that could explain not just the album cut, but the explosive way Bambi chose to respond. By sunrise the next day, the fight had gone from whispers to front page. Gossip across every entertainment blog worth its clicks. Grainy clips of Bambi lunging toward Spice were being replayed on loop, with slowed-down versions and frame-by-frame analysis trying to decode what exactly was said in those chaotic seconds. Some claimed they heard Bambi yell, "You stole from me." Others swore it was, "You crossed the line." The truth was murky, but the passion in her voice wasn't. Whatever had gone down between them was deep, and it was personal. Spice's camp wasn't sitting back quietly. Less than 12 hours after the altercation, a source close to her gave a statement to a Caribbean entertainment outlet, calling the incident a desperate stunt by someone who couldn't accept a professional decision. They insisted Bambi's removal from the album had nothing to do with personal issues and everything to do with creative direction. The source claimed Spice had wanted the album to reflect her current energy, and Bambi's verse, while talented, didn't fit. It was a diplomatic answer on the surface, but fans immediately pointed out the shade between the lines. The phrase current energy was interpreted by some as a subtle dig at Bambi's image, suggesting she wasn't on Spice's level. Bambi's side wasn't about to let that narrative stand. By that evening, a new clip surfaced, one filmed days before the fight, showing Bambi at a studio session telling friends she better not play with me after I gave her my best work. The timing of the leak was suspicious, and many believed it came straight from Bambi's team to remind people she had contributed something valuable. But then the story took a darker turn. Second leak, this time from an anonymous Instagram account, claimed that the real reason Bambi was cut from the album had nothing to do with her verse at all. According to this source, Spice had learned that Bambi had been too friendly with someone closely tied to her, not just in the industry, but in her personal life. The post didn't name names, but it didn't need to. Within hours, fans had zeroed in on a well-known producer who had been working with Spice for over a year and had also been spotted at events with Bambi. Photos of the two together started circulating, some innocent, others raising eyebrows. This theory lit the internet on fire. It wasn't just about music anymore, it was about loyalty, betrayal, and a tangled web of personal connections. Bambi stayed silent on the rumors, refusing to confirm or deny anything, which only fueled the speculation. Spice, on the other hand, posted a cryptic Instagram story with the words, "Respect is non-negotiable," set against a black background. No names, no explanation, just enough fuel to keep the fire blazing. The industry started to take sides in quiet but noticeable ways. Artists who had collaborated with both women began liking posts that subtly shaded the other. One dancehall star unfollowed Bambi completely, while another posted an old photo of herself with Spice captioned, "Day ones don't switch." It was becoming clear that this wasn't just a two-woman. Fudit was pulling in the entire network around them. Then came the audio. A popular gossip blogger claimed to have obtained a voice memo allegedly recorded during a heated phone call between Spice and one of her confidants. In the clip, the voice believed to be Spice can be heard saying, if she wanted the song, she should have kept it about the music. But no, she had to get personal. The line was vague but damning, hinting that whatever Bambi did, it went beyond professional boundaries. Bambi's response came in the form of a late-night Instagram Live. She didn't address the rumors directly, but her message was clear. Sitting in a dimly lit room, she looked into the camera and said, "People love to rewrite the story when they know the truth makes them look bad. I know what happened. She knows what happened. And when I'm ready, I'll tell it all." Her voice carried a controlled fury, the kind that lets you know the real explosion is still coming. Fans immediately split into warring factions. #Team Bambi trended alongside #Team Spice, with each side churning out their own receipts, theories, and timelines. Some argued Bambi had every right to be furious if she felt betrayed, while others said nothing justified her jumping on Spice in a public setting. The feud was no longer just about the two women, it had become a full-blown cultural moment. But just when it seemed like the drama had peaked, another twist dropped. A mutual friend of both women, someone who had been seen partying with them just months ago, went on a podcast and spilled a little too much tea. Without naming names, they talked about how quickly things can change when business and personal life get mixed, and hinted at backstage conversations that would ruin careers if they ever got out. The host pressed for details, but the friend pulled back, saying, I've already said too much." That was all it took for fans to start digging again, pulling up old videos, cross-referencing event timelines, and trying to match the pieces together. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, both women were making moves. Spice's team was reportedly considering legal action over the fight, claiming it had damaged her brand ahead of the album release. Bambi, on the other hand, was said to be meeting with her own lawyers, possibly to counter with claims of defamation if Spice continued to imply personal wrongdoing. It was turning into a high-stakes chess match where every move had to be calculated, because one wrong step could have long-term consequences for their careers. And yet, for all the legal threats and public jabs, neither was willing to deliver the knockout blow, at least not yet. There was a sense that both were holding something back, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash it, whether it was out of strategy, fear, or the knowledge that the wrong reveal could backfire. The result was the same: a tense standoff with the world watching and waiting. The only certainty was that this wasn't over. The fight had been the spark, but the fire was still burning, and the smoke was only getting thicker. Every new leak, every cryptic post, every slip from an insider added fuel to a feud that was already threatening to overshadow everything else in the dancehall scene. And somewhere, deep in the middle of all this chaos, there were whispers of an even bigger bombshell, one that could explain not just why Bambi was cut from the album, but why she was willing to risk everything by confronting Spice the way she did. If the rumors were true, the next reveal wouldn't just be messy. It would be career-ending. By midweek, the feud had taken on a life of its own. Every corner of social media was flooded with speculation, memes, and split-screen comparisons of Bambi and Spice, with captions daring viewers to pick a side. But what people didn't realize was that behind the noise, something much bigger was brewing, something neither woman could easily walk away from without serious damage. It started with an anonymous tip sent to a well-known Caribbean gossip blog. The email claimed to have full clarity on why Bambi was removed from the album and why the backstage altercation had been so explosive. The blog hesitated at first, wary of defamation lawsuits, but the sender attached just enough verifiable detail to make them take it seriously. They began dropping hints, cryptic posts about the producer connection, secret meeting in Miami, and a verse that was never supposed to exist. Each post sent fans into a frenzy, scouring every possible clue. Then, late Thursday night, the blog went all in. They released a timeline allegedly pieced together from multiple sources, claiming that 2 months before the album's official track list was finalized, Bambi had recorded her feature for Spice's project. The session was smooth, the chemistry undeniable, and even Spice had been excited about how the track was shaping up. But days later, during a separate recording session in Miami, Bambi was allegedly seen meeting privately with a key figure in Spice's camp, a man who wasn't just a producer, but someone Spice had quietly been seeing off and on. The meeting, according to these sources, lasted hours, with no one else present, and ended with both leaving together in the same car. Whether anything romantic happened was still up for debate, but for Spice, it didn't matter. The optics were bad, and in her mind, the loyalty line had been crossed. The blog claimed this was the moment she decided to cut Bambi from the album. But instead of confronting her directly, she chose to do it silently, letting the absence speak for itself. When the story hit, Bambi's fans defended her fiercely, calling it baseless and insisting the meeting was strictly business. But Spice's supporters weren't buying it, pointing out that the producer in question had been unusually absent from Spice's recent public appearances. Then, to make matters worse, a blurry photo began circulating, allegedly showing Bambi and the producer sitting together at an outdoor cafe in Miami, heads close, laughing over drinks. The timing of the photo matched the blog's timeline almost exactly. Bambi finally broke her silence with a post that only deepened the mystery. She uploaded a black and white selfie with the caption, "Not everything is what it seems. Stay tuned." No direct denial, No explanation, just enough to keep the speculation boiling. Spice, never one to be outdone, responded within hours by posting a photo of herself in the studio, wearing headphones and smirking with the caption, "Some people only come around when they think you can make them hot." The tension was now razor sharp, as the internet devoured every development. An even more dangerous element entered the picture: money. Rumors started swirling that the fight and the surrounding drama had already cost both women major opportunities. A sponsorship deal tied to Spice's album rollout was reportedly paused pending resolution of the controversy. And a brand Bambi had been negotiating with for months allegedly pulled back after the videos went viral. The feud wasn't just messy anymore, it was expensive. Still, neither backed down. And that's when another player stepped into the arena. A former mutual friend who had once been a regular presence in both their lives went live on Instagram and dropped what they called the truth no one wants to say. They claimed that the beef wasn't just about the album or the alleged producer meeting. It was the culmination of years of unspoken competition, slights, and unacknowledged resentment. According to them, Bambi had always felt Spice looked down on her, while Spice believed Bambi was constantly trying to leverage their friendship for clout. The album was just the excuse, they said. This was bound to happen eventually. Their words hit a nerve. Suddenly, fans began digging up old interviews, dissecting past red carpet appearances, and finding subtle moments where the tension between the two had been visible long before anyone realized. An awkward hug here, a backhanded compliment there, it was all being reinterpreted under a new, harsher light. And then came the final, almost cinematic twist. Late one night, a short, unverified clip appeared on Twitter. It was filmed in what looked like a dressing room, with poor lighting and muffled sound, but it showed two women whose voices sounded eerily like Bambi and Spice in the middle of a heated argument. In the clip, the woman believed to be Spice can be heard saying, "You think I don't know about Miami?" While the other voice responds, "You're mad about something that never even happened." Before the clip cuts off, Spice's voice delivers one final line: "You're out of the album, and you're out of my life." The clip spread like wildfire, reaching hundreds of thousands of views in hours. Neither Bambi nor Spice confirmed or denied its authenticity, but their silence spoke volumes. By the next morning, the video had made headlines on major entertainment sites, and hashtags calling for them to tell the real story were trending globally. The feud had now reached a point of no return. The album rollout was overshadowed. Bambi's reputation was under attack, and both women had fan bases ready to go to war at a moment's notice. And yet, through it all, there was still the lingering possibility of one final, devastating reveal, because, according to multiple insiders, there was at least one piece of information that had yet to surface, and it was the kind of detail that could end careers outright. What that detail was, nobody could confirm. Some said it was a contract clause that would expose behind-the-scenes politics. Others believed it was something deeply personal, a betrayal unrelated to music, but far more cutting. Whatever it was, the whispers suggested it would drop soon. And when it did, it wouldn't just close this chapter. It would leave both women changed forever. For now, the public waits, scrolling endlessly, refreshing feeds, wondering when the next shot will be fired. And when it finally happens, it won't just be another headline. It will be the climax of a saga that's already redefined how far a celebrity feud can go, before there's nothing left to salvage. If you thought, what just unfolded was the end of the story, think again, because every sign points to the fact that this feud is far from over. The tension between Bambi and Spice has reached a boiling point, and the next move from either side could completely flip the narrative. We've already seen the public snubs, the cryptic posts, the grainy footage, and the whispered betrayals, but there are still unanswered questions hanging in the air. What really happened in Miami? Was the producer meeting strictly business, or was there more to it? Did Spice intentionally set the stage for Bambi's removal? Or was Bambi already planning her own counterattack long before the album drama went public? And perhaps the biggest question, what is that final career-ending piece of information insiders keep hinting at? And who's brave enough to drop it first? Here's what you need to do. Hit that like button right now if you've been following every twist and turn of this story. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you Team Bambi or Team Spice, and why? And don't just choose a side. Tell me your theory on what really happened behind the scenes. Subscribe and turn on all notifications, because the moment the next bombshell drops, and trust me, it's coming, you're going to want to hear it here first. With all the unfiltered details, receipts, reactions you won't get anywhere else. This isn't just a music industry drama, it's a full-on cultural moment. Don't just watch it happen, be here when history is made.